allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask for a moment of silence and that you remember Eleanor Fairbanks. Thank you.
Roll call. Trustee Downey?
Here.
Trustee Sprague?
Here.
Trustee Patton?
Here.
Trustee DiDonato?
Here.
You here? He is
Here, yeah. I just mumbled.
Trustee
need a
Ryan
hearing aid
is
there?
excused.
No.
And Trustee O'Malley.
Yes.
My wife tells me
Here.
Okay.
Okay. About 3 weeks ago, we had an event occur in this community that could have been tragic. It was bad enough, but it could have been absolutely tragic. We had a fire at the Wood Park Apartments. Everyone was okay, everyone was safe. It was not an easy day for anyone, particularly the folks and the families that utilized those services, but things worked out. The response from the community and from the general area of Hoosick was absolutely amazing. There were more fire companies here, and if I start to name them, I know I'll leave somebody out, so I don't want to. But obviously, all the Hoosick fire departments were here. Rescue squads from Cambridge, the rescue squad here, the police department, the state police. Just absolutely amazing. 32 people actually, I think, were impacted by this. And again, the way the community responded. This was an 80-degree day in May on a Saturday. If this was the middle of January when it was 12 below zero, could have been very different results. Really could have been. So we've learned a lot from this situation. In particular, I want to thank the first responders who were here, the rescue squad, all of those folks, absolutely amazing. The community responded in such a way, particularly the Hoosick Area Church Association, St. Mark's Church, the Community Alliance Church, Immaculate Conception, Pastor Mike Benoit, everybody responded. St. Mark's, we were able to use St. Mark's as a shelter during that day. They opened up within 10 minutes. Actually, I think they said they'd be there in 2 minutes, and they pretty much were. People were able to go there. It was just really phenomenal, the way everybody came together. Also, I lost count of the number of individuals that approached me later on in the day, once the fire was out and we knew everyone was safe, to say, I have room at my house. I have a first floor bedroom. I have a home without stairs. Do you need someone to come here for the night? I'd be more than willing to do that. Absolutely terrific. Also, the health center responded very, very quickly, not only with transportation, but also with an offer in terms of for anybody that might need a place to stay, and 2 people did, and they utilized that. We had I'll give you an example. We had pets. Pets were found. We had one dog that needed to go to the health center, not for any physical reasons, but because he was accompanying someone. And in order for the dog to do an overnight at the health center, you needed papers. Not newspapers, but papers that said, the dog was okay in case anything happened. Somebody got on the phone with the local veterinarian up here on 67. He was closed, he was at home, he drove in, copied off the papers, someone drove up to get them. I mean, it was just at all levels, absolutely all levels. So it really makes you proud. Again, I want to especially thank St. Mark's. They just responded with everything. Rite Aid, I believe, Cumberland Farms, they were donating snacks. Subway was very, very helpful. So I know I've left somebody out, and I don't mean to, but it was really, really heartwarming to see. Sequence Development had offered one of their furnished apartments to one of the residents to use. I mean, everybody just stepped up. So it was really, really something. And again, no one was injured. We've learned a lot. Our emergency services have met. We've gone over what we learned, what can we do differently, what do we need to do, things like that. So it was quite the experience. Now, I want to take just a few moments before we get into the heart of the meeting to recognize two individuals, two residents of that apartment complex. And their names were brought to me over the next day or two by individuals who were there, by staff, by people who were helping out at St. Mark's, by the rescue squad, by the police department, and by the fire departments. And each one of them said these two gentlemen need to be recognized for what they did. And what they did was remain very calm and cool, relatively so, okay, in the heat of the moment, no pun intended. And they knocked on doors, the second floor and the first floor. And if people didn't know what was going on, they went to the door, they got them, and they helped them out. And in many cases, they wheeled them out. And by the time I got there, the fire department obviously was already there. We had about 30 people sitting in their lawn chairs out in the front lawn, kind of watching what's going on. Again, if this is the middle of January, it's a different situation. But these two individuals really stepped forward, and it's my understanding that they are pretty much referred to as the go-to guys when it comes, when things are needed at the complex. They help out. They're very humble and very modest. But I'd like to take this opportunity to formally recognize and present with a certificate of recognition to Tom DeMars, who's awarded this certificate in recognition of his cool-headed and heroic actions, which played a significant role in evacuating the residents from the Wood Park complex at the start of the fire on May 16, 2015. And we have a similar certificate for Bill Bacaitis, awarded this certificate in recognition of his cool-headed and heroic actions, which played a significant role in evacuating the residents from the Wood Park complex at the start of the fire on May 16th. So I would like to present these to you. And thank you again on behalf of the community. I would like to maybe turn those around a little bit.
My camera's being fussy. Okay, great, thank you.
Do I get one up there, Mike? Oh. Thank you.
So thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen,
Yeah.
very much.
Yeah.
Okay. And everything else is downhill from this. I mean, this is just
Yeah.
amazing, absolutely amazing. Anybody here, community service from school? Oh, we got last minute, huh? Really pushing it. Chief, you need to move, there's about 10 more charging through. More community service, okay. Cutting it close, guys, cutting it close. Hmm? From school, coming over, they have, yeah. All right, well, welcome. I hope you find it interesting. Hope this kind of piques your interest in local government and what it's all about, and get an idea of how things are accomplished. So welcome. Okay, announcements. Yep, go from my list here. On Friday, this coming Friday, the 12th, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, down at the old waterworks plant, down at the Little League field, where the trailhead is for the southern part of the trail. We're going to be having a ribbon cutting for the newly purchased property that has been added to the trail. It was formerly John Skorupski's property, and and through the good efforts of the Greenway Committee, that property has been added to the trail. We've invited the community to come to that. We're gonna be down near Saint Cobain, just a little bit up from the trail, but down in that area. Many of you have walked down there and seen what it's like. It's really beautiful. So we're gonna have some refreshments, say some nice things about what we're trying to do there, and also thank the family for that. This is a wonderful legacy that's been left to our community. So again, the community is very welcome to be there. Okay. What else we got? Want to do this in order here? Okay. No? That we don't need. Okay. As we know, Rensselaer County is able to buy oil and gas and different things like that, and they get it through a contract process. And we received a letter from them, and this regards the county propane bid. Now, none of our buildings and facilities, correct Neil, we're not using any propane at all. But last year, we did take a look at our police vehicles to see if our vehicles would be able to be converted to propane. And we learned that those particular vehicles at that time could not be, but the company we spoke with said they're adding conversion kits all the time. So we're gonna take another look at that and see if that's possible. So in the meantime, what I'm gonna ask the board for is a motion to sign this, even though we're not using it, but we would be signed up for it. So if the opportunity came along for us to use propane within the village, we would be able to get it at a, most likely the best price possible. All right? So I would ask for a motion to accept this.
Second.
Bob? Rick? Any further discussion?
Do
All
we have
those-
any, I just wanna ask, do we have any propane vehicles, forklifts or anything in the?
No,
No?
that's what we've looked at. We just don't yet. But I think there's the possibility of doing that. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. Sign that afterwards. I received a letter from an individual, and really a very nice letter. And what they were talking about, was something that's done out in the Oneonta area, and it's called Saturday's Bread. And what they do in the Oneonta area is they have food donations, and at the local fire halls and different facilities, they make breakfast and they make meals for individuals. And the whole community comes out and does that. Now, we have the food pantry, we have similar kinds of things here. But this letter was written by someone saying, this would be a nice thing to get started here. So what I did was I responded to the letter, thanked the individual for it, and I forwarded this on to the food pantry, to the church association, to the fire departments, in case this is something they would like to learn a little bit more about. I think we do something similar, but not on a regular basis. This is every Saturday, from like 10 to 2. Food and muffins and different things are being made in different locations throughout the community. But I just wanted to make people aware that, folks are thinking about these kinds of things, and these are the kinds of ideas that we really want to hear about and move forward with.
Just college probably.
Okay, all right. So anyway, we did send this out to folks, and we'll see if that's something we want to follow up on. But this letter was written by Haley Votra from Seward Street in Hoosick Falls, and apparently she's in the Oneonta area. I don't know if she's going to school or if she works there, perhaps. But it was really well thought out. And again, this is the kind of thing that I think we'd really like to encourage. Just an announcement here, and some of you have seen this. Hayseed 3 has a free library for the community, and that began on June 1. I don't believe they're trying to compete with our local library, but just an additional type of service. You can bring a book, you can take a book. So that's happening. There's space where that's occurring down at the Armory. So we just want to make everybody aware of that. Okay. We received the formal notification for the work on the bridge in front of Tops on 22. That is going to be starting, well, let's see. Apparently, according to this letter, it started on June 8th, but that hasn't happened. So we're thinking about around the 20th, Neil?
22nd, we're supposed to go to one lane traffic.
Okay. So, and this is supposed to go through, well, through September anyway, so that it may still be in effect when school starts up. Anyway, there'll be one-way traffic. We've gone through this before, but it's necessary, so just to be aware of that. If you are caught in the traffic and you have that red light and you have to wait, please don't speed to get across the bridge and then into town or out of town, okay? I'm gonna ask the police department to be wary of that. We don't want anybody to get hurt, okay? And again, it's a thin lane. I believe they're also gonna keep the sidewalk open so that people can get over the top, so a lot of people walk over to the grocery store. So that's gonna be happening.
Say on that as well as, I know people are gonna start using River Road.
Yeah, and Hill Road.
Or Hill Road, and we're gonna be monitoring that very closely for speeders that are gonna try to make up that time. Plus the trucks that are gonna think that it's easier for them to go that way and go around, so we're gonna be out monitoring that situation.
Okay, good. And there have been reports of a lot of trucks on Hill Road, you know, coming over that way now. So again, as long as we're aware of that, and we'll do what we can to stop that. I wanted to make people aware that with the renovations that have occurred here in the building, there's a mail drop box out in the foyer. So if you're coming in to pay your bills, or you wanna pay your taxes twice, and it happens to be on a Saturday or a Sunday, you can drop that right in that lockbox. It is locked. It's opened up every day, okay? So we do get that information. It's opened up every business day, Monday through Friday. So just be aware of that. Sunday is Flag Day. There'll be a celebration over at the Legion. It's gonna start around 6 o'clock. The band will be there. There'll be a number of good things going on, so I hope you'll get the opportunity to come over. It's really very nicely done. And it's a good time to kind of just take stock and be thankful for what we have and where we live. Okay, we've got a couple of others. Okay, we've got paving going on. Let's see, there'll be no parking, streets to be paved on Thursday or Friday, June 11 and 12, which is coming into this week. All vehicles need to park off the street. If you have plans to travel during the day, please park on a side street. Turning tires on new blacktop will result in an instant pothole, so please be aware of that. There's a specific schedule, Neil, that you've put out, and that's is that on the website?
I don't have a paving.
Just got
I got a
that
street
today.
cleaning schedule, but I never got a paving schedule.
No, because this was, out of the blue thing, they showed up early this year,
Okay,
so.
so can we get that,
Yep.
maybe get that information in? Great. Is that it? for-
Make copies.
Okay. I'm just gonna make copies and then get that back to you. Okay, Flag Day. If any of you have not yet had the opportunity to stop over at the town pool, I would encourage you to do so. It's absolutely gorgeous, the work that's been done. I would like to take a moment just to commend the town council for having the vision to do the job and to do it right. It's a definite asset to our community, and it looks absolutely spectacular. So hopefully people are really gonna enjoy that this summer. So if you get a chance, take a look at it, and there's gonna be an official opening, grand opening on the pool on Saturday, June 20th at 12 noon. I believe the pool will also be open prior to that for some of the schools that use it on some of the last days of school. But the official opening will be on the 20th. So hope you can come and take a look at that. I also understand that with the band starting up in a few weeks, and the experience that we all had last summer, where like 5 in a row, I think, Wednesday nights that rained out. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I understand that the town council has voted to allow the band to use the ice skating rink in inclement weather, so that the bandstand and the concerts will go on. So that's great. So I'm sure there'll be some publicity about that, but that's really terrific. So I want to thank everybody for that. Okay. Also want to mention that yesterday, we didn't have time to get it on the agenda, but yesterday I got a phone call from the Hudson River Greenway, which is not our local greenway, but rather a much larger organization, that we received a grant, the village received a grant for $5,000, and that grant is to be used towards the next phase of our zoning update. So that was really welcome news, so glad to hear that. And we'll be getting the official word at some point during the week, but that's a good thing to happen. Take all the grants we can get. All right. That it for announcements? General announcements? I think we got everything, make sure we did. Okay. At this point, just before we get into the rest of the meeting, I just wanna mention that, speaking of grants, we are in the grant cycle. The cycle has begun for state grants, and there's a lot of money available. Deputy Mayor and I met with some of our planners who've been working with us around grants earlier in the week, and we believe that we have the opportunity to apply for a couple of grants. And yesterday I got a phone call from, again, our engineers and MRB, and they want to look at the opportunity to apply for a grant that will allow us to look at the rest of the village in terms of sewer grade, sewer updates, things that are necessary. We've done what, Dan, maybe 2/3, 3/4 of the village in terms of looking at it and studying what needs to be done, not what's been completed.
Less than that.
Really, about half then? Okay,
Yeah.
so we've still got some more areas to look at. Remember, the sewer plant is relatively new. The system isn't. The pipes aren't. Some are, but most of it isn't, so that needs to be done. So, what I would like the board to consider is having a special board meeting just to have some presentations by our planners around grants. It's not gonna be a long meeting. It'll just be around these probably 3 grant areas that we wanna look at. And if we can do that, I would like to look at, and I have a date and everything, what do they do? Yep, June 23rd, which is a Tuesday, 6 o'clock.
I'm gonna be on vacation.
Okay, 1 down. Anybody else not going to be here, June 23rd? And that way we can get these guys in and out, and we still have time to make a decision if we wanna go forward on these. That sound okay?
Yeah, it sounds good to me. I just wanna mention, yeah, July 31st is the deadline to get this stuff in, and they need some time to prepare, which is why we need to have a special meeting.
Yep.
Where is the, Hollister, the Woods Brook grant application?
That's going in. I think that might even be the same deadline. But both,
sure.
both the village and the town boards have approved that, and that's gone in. So they'll be working on that. Yeah.
Waiting until we found out whether we could change the course of the.
And actually, DEC did come, we met with them, we toured the brook, took a look at it. You know, they're not gonna approve, yeah, we'll make it have a right turn and shoot north instead of south. But they said, yes, something definitely needs to be done. And as long as we work with them, they certainly appeared to be open to that.
Yeah.
That was your
good,
impression?
because I hadn't heard any update on that.
We just, I think it was May 21st that we met with them.
Okay,
They came down.
thank
So we'll be moving forward on
I
that
think
as
that
well.
the big thing is that they're looking at the grander scheme of things.
Uh-huh,
Some of the engineers we were talking to earlier were how to change things down here,
right,
but talking to DEC and, was it the guy from the Army Corps?
Yes, one of each.
Guys from the Army Corps, they walked all the way up, and they were looking at areas outside the village and the town that said you could make some improvements here that will fix things down below, or at least make things better. But that's not to say that we don't have some things to fix down here, but,
right.
there's things that we can do further up the watershed that, will keep us from having to really wholesale change things down here,
Okay,
beyond a repair.
And they were very supportive of the need to do a study,
okay.
so that it's not a Band-Aid fix, but you're looking at the whole thing.
Good, and, thank you for the info.
Okay, so, we're good for a special meeting on the 23rd. We're down 1 that we know of, possibly 2 with Bobby, but we'll check with him. Okay, very good, thank you. All right, people to be heard. Yes,
Kevin Ayler, 5421 State Route 7, Hoosick Falls. At your April meeting, you said that you had about a $1 million fund balance with the three funds,
total.
total, between the three funds. Do you have a breakdown of that? Water, sewer, general, what they are?
Sure,
each?
and we're just
Rough,
finishing
rough.
up. Yeah, it's generally in the neighborhood of about, I'll say around 350,000 each.
Each?
Yep, right in that neighborhood.
Okay, that's not a lot. It seems good, but
Mhm.
what you're looking at in your sewer fund, I think we both know that's kind of short, but it's still good to have. The second issue I'd like to ask about is I've been asking about the report to the state that that your building inspector is supposed to turn in.
Mhm.
You haven't done 2013.
Yeah, and I don't know that we're gonna be able to do 2013, quite honestly, because there's nobody here that was here then.
So how are we doing with 2014?
I think we're doing well, and we're gonna wait for the building inspector's report on that.
Are you gonna address that, Mark?
There are reports that I fill out, but.
We'll wait for his report. Anything else?
Okay, and the last thing is, I was talking to an employee at Mitsui who told me that the village was thinking about applying for a grant to help them clean up Mitsui's lot.
Yeah,
I would think that was just wishful thinking on
yeah,
their part.
you'd hope so, wouldn't you?
Could you add anything to that, or
No.
No?
No, I really can't. The village isn't, we're not in a position to do that.
I know you're not in a position to do that, but facilitate any grant work or anything like that on their behalf?
Not on, well, right now, we don't know exactly what can be done. Right now, the latest on Oak Mitsui is that there is not going to be an immediate demolishing of the property. They're gonna hold off. The building will still be heated and taken care of, but it's not gonna be knocked to the ground at this point in time. They are planning to do that eventually. And yes, I have been in touch with folks at ENCON to find out just what are the options in terms of that. I want to be very sure that eventually, if that building is taken down or when it's taken down, we have a very good usable piece of riverfront property.
I thought that was just something on somebody's Christmas wish list, but I just wanted to ask you about that. Thank you very much.
Okay, anyone else to be heard? Sharon?
There's a tree in the brook across the street that's near the wires. Who would call the electric company? My husband noticed it, and he said it's hanging, and when it goes, the break's gonna knock all the wires right down.
Okay. Neil, can you take a look, and then let's get in touch with whomever we need to?
Cause I showed it to Anne Marie, she saw what I was talking about.
Okay, well, we'll ask Neil to take a look at that,
Next,
okay? Anyone else to be heard? All right, we'll move into the treasurer's report.
Right now, we are about 85% of all income and expenses. And this is how things look right now, as we head into the last month. Our general fund, we have a difference of $41,126 at this point. We had slated to use $54,000 of the fund balance. So we were able to we're not going to use all of that balance by about $13,000. In the water fund, we actually made money. Our income is larger than our expenses by $560. We had set aside $37,500 from the fund balance, which means we don't have to use that, plus the $560 will go back in for a total of a little over $38,000. Again, this is not set in stone yet because we don't have all our income and expenses in. And in the sewer fund, we're actually at a plus $75,824. We had set aside $40,000 in the fund balance, so we are right now at a total of $115,824.
And that's in addition to what the current fund balance is.
That's correct, and I don't have those figures in front of me, so.
So we'll be getting that.
Yep.
So overall, again, this is about 85% of expenses in, unless, something comes in from left field. You never know, never know. But we seem to be doing pretty well. We really are. So we'll be taking a hard look at that as we go forward. Just to mention that in terms of the water fund and $500, keep in mind that we spent quite a bit of money on our issues with water this year. And I'll get into that in just a little bit. So that's where a good chunk of that, those funds went. Okay, any questions for the treasurer's report? Is there a motion to accept?
So moved?
Rick, second?
Second.
Kevin, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that is carried, thank you. Police report, chief?
Yes, good evening. We have this is for the month of May, June, 113 reports that came into the station. We had 3 of them that were for assistance. They were for property checks, lockouts, etc. 2 traffic arrests. We had 14 domestic incident reports. We've had 3 neighbor disturbance reports, 9 larcenies, 25 EMS and fire calls, 8 harassments, 4 code enforcement violations, 1 child protective assist, 3 trespassing, 3 sex registers, 1 assault, 3 animal complaints, 2 fraud case, 1 unattended death, 2 mental health cases, 1 property retrieval, and 4 check the welfare. We had a total of 6 arrests for this past month. We've had, on top of that, we had 2 parades that we had in the village, and runs, 2 runs. And I wanna commend Neil. This new way he's put this together with the run is outstanding. Well organized. If it wasn't for his work of getting out there and putting these barriers up and assisting with us, it wouldn't go so smooth. And we've had great turnouts, and everyone has been safe, and it's been a great turnout there. So I wanna thank Neil for that, because he's done an outstanding job. So also our code enforcement, since Mark has come on board here and we've been working, things have been moving really smooth with us, and we're able to call him at any given time. He's coming right out without a problem. He's on top of it. I got another one. We were just over on 35 Church Street there, so something we'll talk about later on. But the assistance that we're getting from the building department now is tremendous, and we're getting on top of these. We're citing the people, and we're getting him into the house. He's getting us into the house. We're able to take care of it. The most recent one was a house where 2 bedrooms. We got 10 people living in it, and 4 of them came up from Florida and decided to, set up camp here in the village. We got on it. It's being rectified. Landlords have been notified, so things are going really good. So with that, I want to thank you very much. I know we're going to be talking about Richmond and Rogers Avenue. I've got reports on that. I think we're looking for 501 to be put on the market. I've got the title. That's not the original. That's a copy of the title that I have. I have just the copy. I think when Harold was here, I think we originally put that, I don't know where, I think the original was sent over to the village. I'm not sure where it is, but that's the copy of it. So that should suffice with what we're looking for. Bob, and I know I sent you an email. I don't see it on the agenda for the 2 appointments.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
I think under committee reports, but you could go into that now.
Right now?
Yeah, why don't we do
What I'd
that?
like to do is be able to continue with our program. The 2 guys that just came out of basic school, which again didn't cost us anything, are now with us in field training. They'll be with us for field training for a month, going back to the school, and then 1st of July, they'll be coming on board with us. Again, the program was a success. They went through it, no cost to the village, and now they're back on board with us here on a part-time basis. So I thought it was, thank you for doing that, and I would like to be able to extend that to 1 more person. Again, we've been searching for individuals here in the village and in the town. We came close, again, of trying to get someone, but they've since not been able to do such. The one person is Ryan Broderick. He is in Brunswick. Young kid. I've got his resume here. I've asked about his future, about possibly moving into the village. He is gonna search out for looking at coming up here and living in the village as a, you know, an apartment type thing, so, I was hoping that we can go forward with that. And then John Larrabee, who used to work with us, who was a great officer with us, he went to Schenectady PD. He's leaving Schenectady PD, to go on with his college education, to become a lawyer, and he's looking to come back with us part-time. When he was here, he was a great officer, he lives in Troy, and he was hoping that maybe he can come back part-time, so I would like to have that, to see if you're under your recommendation.
So we have 3 potential officers?
Two,
2.
right. Two that were in basic school that are coming out, and the one that we're sending to basic school, and then John Larrabee, who I would like to bring back. And again, there's no cost to us.
This is within the current budget.
It's not just within the current budget, but it's within the current budget, but there's no cost to us unless they're working. And we do have vacant shifts that we're working on, with us going 24 hours on Tuesday nights. And we've got a number of investigations that are going on, that we're addressing a few issues that are going on in the village here. And I expect in the next 2 weeks, we're gonna be very active here, so I was wondering if
I know that Bobby is in support of this, but let's just break it down, because there's a lot of names. We've got 2 people who are currently
Ryan
coming out.
Broderick, who we want to send to basic school.
Okay.
That is no cost to us whatsoever. It's just that sponsorship that we've been doing for a period of time now.
Okay, so that's one.
Right.
Is
Do
there,
we just need to approve to send him to school?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
so is there a motion?
I'll move.
Second?
Rick, second. Ben, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that one's carried.
And then the second one would be to bring back on a part-time basis, John Larrabee, who was with us one time, left to go to Schenectady, and was going on to college education further, and wants to just come back to work part-time.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion?
Ben, Bob, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank
that's carried as well.
So the 2 coming out in July, were both full-time?
No, they're part-time, they're just part-time with us. Based on civil service, they're not reachable on the list, they're just part-time officers, so, that's all it will be. And again, there's no cost, no benefits, no nothing to the village. It's when they're working is when they get paid.
Okay, anything further, Chief?
Neil?
Did you get that email that I brought over?
In regards, yes.
Something about my company owes something $945 for something that came on my,
Oh, I have no idea. I looked at that briefly and I was wondering what it was about. I have no idea what that is. I'll look at it and,
before they get a hold of the authorities, so in case they contact you.
okay.
About it
I-
already.
I'm not sure what, again, I ran out on a call and I noticed it there and I'll address it. So we're gonna put the car, you're gonna be able to put 501 up on, for auction?
Yeah, that's what we wanna do, correct? We
Yeah.
talked about doing that before.
501, is it?
Did,
50.
I can't recall, did we actually make a motion to do that? I don't think so.
I think we did, and we didn't have the,
Didn't have to.
Okay, so now that we have the paperwork, is there a motion to put that out for bid? Kevin? Rick, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that's carried, we will do that. That's
The only
it?
other thing is Richmond and
We'll get into that in just a little bit. Okay, we'll move on to the code enforcement report.
I'm still very much getting a feeling for this and for the report itself, and this report is different than last month's report, but just everything in general, so we're still learning some things, still trying to think through the computer. Basically, I gave everybody a copy, issued 3 building permits, we closed a couple building permits, 21 various inspections, and some of these numbers are exact and some of them are approximates, because I'm not convinced that I'm getting everything into the computer or getting the report information back on the computer right, so, but it's close. I was called to 3 fire calls, opened 10 complaints, I closed 11 complaints, so this is carryover from the month before, opening 10 new complaints this month, and within those complaints can be numerous issues. Within one complaint I think I had, one of the ones the chief alluded to, I ended up with 4 or 5 separate issues in that one apartment that I ended up sending notices of violation to the landlord. So we're still just in the beginning part of the process, because as these certified letters and things go out for these notice of violations, when we're hoping that they respond and fix the issues. But when they don't, the next step will be going into the citation phase, where we're actually citing them into court. So, because we're still kind of gearing all this up, but that will be the next phase. We're actually meeting with the attorneys that the court voted to hire this week, Thursday. So we're gearing up, but we are getting there. Like the chief said, there's a lot of things going on. So, issued the notice of violations. These were the ones that are a little more approximate, but 5 of them for weeds and tall grass, 5 for debris and rubbish, a couple of smoke alarms, 1 carbon monoxide detector. I had 2 apartment overcrowding issues. Rental property registration, I sent out 1 notice of violation. There's gonna be many more of those as we get into this. Biannual rental property safety inspections is something that's in our local laws. There's gonna be more of those that go out as we start getting into this. I had 1 refrigerator issue, 1 pool issue, a garbage can issue. We have a few of those. Some cases on a garbage cans issue, I try and, if I have an email or a phone number, I'll give them a call, send them an email or something, get them, pull them back. And 1 unsafe barrier that still has not been rectified. So some of the projects, just to give you an idea, loading the laws into the computer software is a time-consuming process. I didn't put it on here, but I have been working on forms too. Like the biannual rental property safety inspection, I did a request form, so that on that form, when it comes time to do that inspection, they're actually giving me all of the information for the apartment house, so that we'll have that on file. And that should help for down the road. Also, I did up another, just an information type flyer that I will send out with that request, that will give people an idea. Ann saw this yesterday, I was working on it. Not exactly, but most of the items that I'll be looking for when I come to do an apartment house inspection, so that hopefully they've been proactive and have already taken care of most of those things, so we don't have to, go through the whole process. 29 Lyman Street started out as, I think it was one of the first permits that I issued, was a demo permit. Morgan Construction out of Glens Falls area, left without finishing the job. They never disconnected the water, they never disconnected the sewer. They left a lot of mess. There's wires sticking up. It's kind of a safety issue too. The bank has been trying to get them to come back. It's not working out. So the last thing they did is I gave them a couple names the other day. They are contacting a couple local contractors to get some prices to go in and see if we can't. They'll pay to finish up what the Morgan Construction didn't do. So, but as you get into some of the stuff is time consuming. So that's why I kind of put it under there in the projects. And then the fire at Wood Park, fire department did an excellent job. I mean, everything, but there's a lot. I was up there again today, and I'm looking up codes because the contractor asking, what about this, what about that? There's a window issue, in the bedroom now. You have egress, because the time that building was built was different laws than today, so we're trying to meet the egress stuff and looking that stuff up and try and give them the right information. So, it's just some of the stuff is time consuming. So I do get complaints. I mean, I get complaints every day. I mean, at the end of last week, some of the complaints I was working on were probably maybe 2 or 3 weeks old. But I do try and get to them, and we send out the letters, and we are doing. So keep, when you see stuff, keep it coming in. Even if it doesn't look like I'm working on it immediately, it is. I refer to it as being on my radar, and I will get to them even if I can't get to them immediately.
So you're keeping track of everything that's been done since you've started in this position?
I'm trying to.
Okay, okay. So
Phone
we
calls
will,
and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of times you're answering the phone during the course of the day. Sometimes it's questions and stuff.
but you're keeping track of the numbers?
I'm trying to, yes.
So
The
that-
computer system, I'm still not convinced.
Okay. So we're working on that, but in the
Yeah.
meantime, we will have figures for this year's report in terms of what we accomplished
Oh,
over
the
there.
report that Kevin's referring to, I have not seen it, I don't know what it is, I made myself a note, because I'll try and find it, so that I do know exactly, I mean, the things that they're looking for. The reports that I fill out right now are monthly reports that are sent to me from the state that have to do with, housing starts, they're only interested in what you have for housing starts.
Can I ask a quick question
Sure.
of Mark about the nice job they did over at Bagel and Brews in their opening that they had today? Were you involved in that? Cause they did a nice job. Not that I'm giving them a little plug, but they did a very nice
Yeah.
job and they opened today, and I think, you know, you got a business that's opening in Hoosick Falls, and I think we should, you know, recognize them.
Yeah, I agree. I was there today as well for a meeting that was held there. Yes, the building inspector has been involved,
I
and
know,
will
I was using
continue
that
to
as a
be
segue
involved.
into-
They've done a nice job with that, and, we hope it's gonna be very successful.
Yes.
Okay,
Mark,
anything else?
I just have a question. The notice of violations that you're getting or finding, is it a combination of both? Are you seeing the debris and rubbish and making the violation, or are people contacting you, or is it a combination of both those
Well,
things?
it's a combination, I verify everything before I put
Mhm.
anything down and send it to an owner, I verify it myself.
But if you're driving
No.
down the road and you see something, are you gonna write up a violation and give it to them, or how are you gonna do that?
Generally speaking, I am, because most times, what I don't have is I don't have email, and I don't have a phone number, and a lot of these properties are vacant, so I'm just going in and getting whatever information I can, I talk to the clerk, and, you know, we try and get the latest information that we have, and the notice of violation, what I'm able to do on that is to give, you have to give on some of, depending on what it is, the lawns and stuff, I try and do like 10 days. Some of the other things, the more serious things, you have to give 30 days according to the state. So I'm giving that 30-day notice, and then once we reach that 30-day criteria, that's when we issue the citation, and we'll start the court proceedings.
Thank you.
Okay, chief?
On the junk cars, we have a local law, do we have a local law on the books?
There's state,
Abandoned vehicles and-
there's a state code. You can't have more than one unregistered.
Does that also include, like ATVs, I'm, on people's properties where they're adding up and not only are we have an ATV, but we have parts of an ATV that are accumulating. And I was wondering if there's a way that we can go in and address that, cause I'm noticing that as well, at some of these homes where everybody has to have an ATV and everybody has to have a bunch of parts to that ATV. And then they're being left all around the houses, and whether it's, which could be gas, et cetera, so I'm wondering if.
Right, and I mean, I wrote up something the other day and put in the mail for something similar to this. Somebody said they're collecting scrap out in front of their house, you know, and that's not permitted in the village. So, you know, it's considered debris.
So I can
But I
write
think
that
as
up as
far,
scrap.
right, and it's something I think you can refer to me and I can go look at it. If it's outside and visible,
There's one on Railroad Avenue that I addressed with the landlord as well, and I think I sent you a report on that.
I did take a ride by there, but I didn't notice.
It's
Actually,
probably
I
gonna be
got it.
hard for you because it's in the back.
Okay, yeah, I
I had
can
the
see it.
opportunity to be in the back, so.
I did go down on the back road. See, I don't have the authorization for stuff like that to just walk in your backyard. I did take a ride down on the back road and I can't, because of the foliage, and I couldn't see up there.
Maybe we should have it addressed to the lawyer to check, and maybe we can expand that local law a little bit more to start encompassing beyond just the junk cars, but maybe parts out.
I did find an issue on another property
Yep.
that day, but I went looking for the one following up on that.
Okay, we'll check.
Okay.
Okay, clerk's report.
Oh.
It's you.
I know. The year has ended. The re-levy went down, it's on the agenda for the re-levy. We're now in the process of invoicing out the tax bills in QuickBooks, which is gonna take probably a week for the three of us to do, along with just normal everyday activity.
Just another little piece of heaven.
That's wonderful, just
All
wonderful.
right. Okay, any questions for the clerk?
Another day in paradise.
We have a new report that we're gonna be adding in on a regular basis, and this is, a community services report, not to be confused with community services that our high school students do. But these are service hours that come through the courts. Jerry McAuliffe oversees that particular program, and he wasn't able to be here this evening, but he has his first report in. And just to give you a little rundown of what we gain from community services in that sense, again, coming through the courts. March 1 through June 1, completed 400 man-hours. Now, those man-hours were put together in terms of sweeping streets, sweeping sidewalks, detailing vehicles, weed whacking, cleaning up, raking, all of those kinds of things. That's a lot of work, things that need to be done, but this is 400 hours that were done, and they didn't have to be done by the highway department or the water department or the sewer department. That's a significant savings to us, to our community. Projects included but not limited to the municipal building interior. Every room in this building has been painted, all fresh paint, new carpeting that you've seen. We had to have someone come in and do that, but the woodwork, all of those kinds of things, along with help from Neil and some of the other staff, but primarily, really, it was community services workers that did all of this. Remodeled the clerk's office, the old dispatch office, removed the carpeting, replaced tile, detailed police cars on a weekly basis, cleaned the parks, hand sweep parking lots, mowing, weeding, greenway cleanup. So they're doing those kinds of things, and that's a benefit. So we want to start keeping track of that and letting the community know that, hey, this is something that's very positive. It saves us money, and it gives us additional things like a nice building, a clean park, things like that. It's a very valuable asset.
And Dave, some of these individuals, we dealt with on the other side, and while they're here, it's working in that sense too. They're learning their lesson, and they're starting to understand why they are there in community service. And it's going good in that, so there's benefits on the human side as well.
Okay, good, very good, thank you. All right, committee reports. Bob?
The one thing is a motion on the agreement with county waste. Do you wanna do that now, or you wanna wait?
Yeah, why don't we do that and we'll get that done.
It's an agreement with the county from period June 1, 2015 to May 31st, 2016 at a 0.7% increase. That increase is to offset health benefits and repairs, maintenance, increase on equipment and gas and stuff like that.
So 0.7?
0.7. Other ones are higher. The other ones, one was 1 point something. We were low on the bottom side of it. So.
Okay, so this is for our trash and recyclable pickups, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and what was the total? Was it on that letter, or is it in here, Ian?
That was just a 0.7 increase on the.
Oh, over the existing?
Yeah,
over
just a
this
point,
one. I
yeah.
think it's like
That was for the
5,000.
CPI.
Almost
Okay.
$6,000.
So 200 and, what was it? 288,000.
Okay, and residents or property owners are charged by what they use with that. So there's a rental,
It
not a
was-
rental fee, but a service fee for that.
Right.
We
It was
collect that.
288.
Okay, is there a motion?
Motion?
Ben?
Second.
Second, Karen. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? It's carried, thank you.
Can you check with Waste Management or County Waste about emptying the local trash receptacles?
Okay.
Had some complaints that some were overflowing down by the river. There was one there that,
Right.
are they supposed to do them all?
People want to, their cars and stuff, where all the garbage comes from.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you, Neil. What was
That
that?
comes out of, people
People
taking
stop there and drop
garbage
it off.
out of their
Dropping
cars.
their own, oh, okay.
Just throwing it in there.
Well, they're still putting stuff besides garbage in the garbage cans.
I'll see what they can do, Kevin.
All kinds of stuff.
I'll go.
Okay,
Okay, the other thing is that the county's doing something with solar.
yes,
As we were doing, he mentioned, did they talk to you about that?
yes, yeah.
That if we were doing the same thing, we could get more off our bill, but
We've
I don't know
asked-
how we were.
I got a message from the county exec And basically what she asked was, when you take into account all of our solar panels, and remember, we've got 1,900 panels that are being installed up at the transfer station. When everything is operational, what percentage of our energy will that cover? For example, 10%, 50%, 15%. She wanted to know that, so then the difference, the county wants to be looking at something to see if we could all benefit from that.
Right.
So we've requested Monolith to give us that information, so we've got a couple of calls into them
Okay.
about that. As soon as we get it, we'll get that back to the county.
Okay, because that's what he was asking me about all that.
Yep, so
Okay.
yeah, we're following up on that.
Alrighty,
And if you have not had the opportunity to go to the transfer station, take a look. The panels haven't gone up yet, but all of the staging and the brackets have. When the panels are up, it's gonna make a fantastic picture. The whole hillside, really well. The whole hillside is just gonna be covered. And that's money we are saving from that, and it's clean energy. So anyway,
okay, that's
thanks,
it for
Bob.
me.
Karen?
Thank you.
The other thing I've been asked is on Friday's ribbon cutting ceremony, where's the best spot to park?
Right down at the Little League field by the old waterworks plant.
Okay.
Now, if somebody,
Because I think there's
has,
confusion because it says the bridge, Route
Well,
22 bridge.
yeah.
The ceremony is actually gonna happen closer to the bridge, but there's not really room to park up there. If somebody wants to walk to it, they're certainly welcome to walk up River Street and turn just before the bridge and walk down the Greenway that way. And it might be a little closer if you're walking, but if you're driving, you really need to go to
To the
the
Little League
waterworks.
field.
Now,
Waterworks
if
field.
someone has difficulty doing that,
Okay.
Right.
they said we'd be able to park over, there's a gate in St. Cobain, which is, you could park there because it's gonna be after hours.
Yes.
You could go in there, and that'd be closer for someone who may have difficulty walking.
Because I heard too, like the Grand Union, they were saying to park over there and walk back over.
They
But
could.
no,
You
I
could,
mean,
but
you
it,
could,
but go down to the,
yeah.
but we
okay.
really don't want cars going down right across the bridge. That would just not be a good situation.
No, there's no parking.
Not at all. Okay. Did you have?
No.
Okay. All right. Anything else, Karen?
No, I do wanna thank, the pool is fantastic. People, I mean, again, I grew up at the pool, lived there, we did carnivals to raise money for it and all that. Swimming lessons, people really need to get, I'm always shocked when a 10-year-old can't swim because we've been so blessed in this community to have that, and, yeah, so people really need to push it, encourage it, and,
Yeah.
support it.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Ben?
I wanted to kind of piggyback on what Karen said about the pool. I saw it, went by it on Sunday, and it looks great. It really does. So it looks like we've got a great year coming up, which is awesome. So, water department wise, we did some hydrant flushing, also had a water main break, inspections as well. As far as Time Warner Cable, gee, I even hate to bring it up because I thought we were done with this.
Yeah.
But within the last week or two, Time Warner Cable and Charter Communications have announced that they're going to enter into agreement where Charter is going to acquire Time Warner Cable. We're basically back in the same boat that we were in before with Comcast when they decided to buy it and then it fell through. So what I'm gonna do is, I thought that we were safe again until 2017, but it looks like we're gonna have to go back to where we are again. We have 120 days. What the Charter Communications will issue is a Form 394. And what that does is it requests approval of the transfer and includes financial and legal information. This is a time when we as the village can get some information into them about the transfer, how we might benefit from that. And again, we have 2 years until our contract is up for the next 10 years. So we'll have to, what I'm gonna do is contact them and try and get more information for the next meeting. I have not seen the form come through yet, so our time period has not started, but it's just a matter of time before that happens. This one seems to be like it's going to be a better one than Comcast as far as them being able to get it done. So it looks like it may go through. Of course, I thought that on the other one, it didn't happen. So I'll try and get more information. We'll talk about it next month if I have some. I also was approached by someone through a place called CIT Associates, which is out of Bennington. They're located on Main Street. They work with municipalities in phone and internet. And I don't have anything to approach the board with tonight because I just got it yesterday. So I didn't have a chance to look over it. But what I'd like to do is be able to contact them between now and the next meeting, find out what they may be able to offer the village, maybe in savings. Because right now we have Cornerstone, and I'm not thinking they're doing a bad job, but if we can save money, I'm not sure what process we would have to go through to do that, if it has to go out to bid or anything like that. So I will work on that between now and the next month, find out more information about them. Again, it's a company from Bennington, so it's fairly close, and find out what they have to say, but I just wanted to let everybody know about that.
Okay,
I'm good.
that's it?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Rick?
Ann and I, thank you with Ann's help, ordered the letters for the front of the building over here. So when they arrive, I've got a little bit of a carpentry work to do up there before I get them installed. Probably fix the base of the columns out there as well. That we lost one of them, disappeared someplace. But so I'll get that worked out when the letters come in. I just wanted to mention further about the ceremony on Friday on the Greenway. That is obviously a ribbon cutting ceremony for Skrupski Landing. There will be light refreshments there if anybody wants to come, and they're also planning on taking a little walk on the property for people to really see what an asset it is to add that to the Greenway, and hopefully we'll keep growing in the future. We spoke with B&L yesterday about grant opportunities, and they did bring up one grant opportunity for ongoing maintenance with the Greenway. We might be able to get a grant to purchase some equipment, maybe even a multi-use trail vehicle. They'll help us in maintenance in the future on the Greenway. It's probably something that we should consider purchasing, and if the grant seems feasible and it's going to work for us, we're probably going to apply for that grant. One other grant opportunity I would like to mention is that we've got this water issue, and we're looking into how we're going to have to upgrade our plant. And I did speak with somebody from a state entity. I can't remember which entity. Environmental
Finance, is it?
something.
EFC?
Yeah.
You know what that stands for, Dan? EFC?
That's
Thank
Anyway,
you, Dan.
anyway, they think that they might be able to help us fund the project. So the MRB, the engineering firm that we're working with, has made contact with them, and we're gonna pursue that opportunity. And that's about all I got.
Okay. Kevin?
From the wastewater plant, Dan had an inspection today from DEC. Everything went well, except when they started talking about the future and future regulations, when they told him he needs a disinfection system in the next 2 to 5 years, and that will cost the board some money. Maybe Dan might want to explain exactly what a disinfection system is.
It's the one I'm looking at is UV. It's just lamps. The water runs through the lamps. Any bacteria that's left in the water, the UV lamps kill it. There's you can use chlorine. I'm not so sure that's something we want to look into. I think that's going to cost a fortune, but they said that they're calling it, they're putting us on the short list, which means any time from between now and 5 years, they could say, you've got a year to put it in. She said it's likely not to happen sooner than it is later, but it's gonna happen within the next 5 years. There's potential funding for it, but New York State, you don't know if it's gonna be there or not, so.
So you're gonna call MRB.
Yeah, I'm meeting with him this week to go over the different options, the cost. So over the next couple of years, budget-wise, we can start putting a little something away, so when they say you've got a year to complete it, we've got something to start with. And I don't wanna be left with nothing, and and then have to go scrambling for money. That's
Do you have a dollar amount of how much that's gonna cost?
roughly, it's about $500,000.
Some questions are best not asked.
Yeah. You know what, somebody's gonna ask that question, might as well be me.
I know.
It's all gonna depend on the size of the
Right,
that we
right.
have to have based on our flow and, but that's why I wanna get Jeff involved now, so we can start looking at different things that we can do. And then get some costs on that and start working up from there.
Danny, let me ask you a question, because this is kind of bringing back something to my memory. Last year, somebody from the Hoosick Hudson Partnership had an initiative where they were trying to upgrade the grading of our river through here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that needed to be done was this step at the wastewater treatment plant, is that correct?
No, they have, the woman that I spoke with said that they have 2 people in New York State that regrades the rivers. It could be next year that they do the Hoosick River, it could be 20 years from now before they do the Hoosick River. You can apply to have your river done, but it's when they can
Right,
get
but I
your-
thought when we had this discussion
No,
last year,
if-
one of the things is that we
No,
would have to upgrade our plant to do
You will,
that,
if
correct?
they do upgrade it, you have to do it regardless, but now DEC is making it regardless, you have to do it, and we're still gonna be a Class
Right,
C river.
yeah. So it's, I just wanna know if the same thing, so that there is the potential that if we need to take this step and we need to spend the money, that there is an upside, is that we might be able to upgrade our river as well.
You may.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know, thank you.
Now, when you meet with MRB, they will be able to tell you whether there's any grant funding out there?
Yeah, I spoke with Carrie, my DEC inspector today, and she didn't know of any right now off the top of her head. Jeff was gonna call a couple people tomorrow, and then he's coming out Thursday, so we'll hopefully have some answers on if there's any funding out there or not.
To me, it seems better to be proactive in this situation as much as you can. We're gonna have to do it anyway.
Well, because
So
you're gonna have to be
if the
fighting
money's
everybody
avai-
else.
Right, but if the money's
Money.
available at some point, it might be easier to jump in than to not do anything and then have to spend it all. That's all.
She said that we may be able to, this grant that we're gonna be applying for, the engineering planning grant, she said we may be able to use, if we can get that grant, we can use that money for the engineering planning of that,
Good.
so that would
That would
cut
be
that
helpful.
part out of it, and then you would just have construction costs. But she wasn't 100% on that, she was also gonna call Fred Testa from DFC to see what he had to say about it.
Okay. I think what we just need to keep in mind, and I agree with what you're saying, Ben, what we need to keep in mind is, even if DEC says, okay, you need to do this, and you need to, and here's where the money comes from when you apply for the grants. None of these grants of this size come within 30 days. We're working on a huge upgrade of our sewer system, that the first shovel won't go in the ground for another year and a half. And we've been working on it for about a year and a half. So yeah, you look now, so you start to see
Right.
what's there, but it's a very lengthy process, just coming up with the funding. So we'll definitely, MRB will definitely be looking for that for us. Okay, any other questions on that? Nope?
From the highway department, around Memorial Day, Neil and I were looking at some of the poles and we were lacking some brackets, so we ordered those from Gettysburg Flag Works, and they should be in soon.
Great,
He has the flags, just don't have the brackets.
okay.
And the other thing is, a couple months ago, we talked about a new zero-turn mower, which Neil has in his budget. He has found one at Grassland Equipment for, let's see, $12,999 with a trade-in of $3,899.70. It would be $9,099.30 to the village.
Mhm. And we have those funds in this current budget, because we knew that this was something we were gonna be looking at, and we'd be spreading that across, the 3 major areas, all 3, water, sewer, and general fund.
And he uses that mower quite often. He uses it here at the park, up at the St. Mary's Park, and down at the waterworks too, I think.
So Neil, you're asking that we go forward with this at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, and the bottom line was what, 9,000 plus?
$9,099.30.
Okay, so $9,100, that'll be spread out over the three funds. So about $33,000 each, and we will get a fairly good trade-in
This is a Toro.
for that.
Toro mower.
Okay. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Ben? Second?
Second.
Second. Karen, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried, thank you.
And our sign for outside the building will be ready next week.
Next week, all right, anxious to
Are
see
they gonna
that.
install that as well, or we need to?
No, we're gonna do that ourselves. It was, I thought it was too costly.
Okay.
Can I just ask Neil, where are we with street cleaning? I know we were scheduled to start.
We've had some breakdowns, but we're back up and moving.
Okay.
The machine has
Okay.
broken down at least twice.
We're-
You know, I hate to push my weight around, but, geez, classic street's looking bad, okay?
Okay,
Okay, thanks, Neil.
all right, old business. At our last meeting, we had some residents down Richmond Ave, and I think there was also a follow-up for one of the other roads. In fact, we had a petition signed by a number of individuals around the speed for that particular road. So we asked both the highway department and the police department to take a look. So can you tell us what you've come up with to date?
We had scheduled 2 studies for both Richmond and Rogers.
Oh, yeah,
And
there's another one.
due to the volume of calls on the second study, we weren't able to do it. But on the first study, which was done on the 22nd of May, on Richmond Avenue at the time, and it was, we did it on a Friday night. We figured this way we were gonna catch, our young ones coming in now. And it was done from like 5 o'clock till around 8 o'clock at night. On Richmond Avenue, you had a total of 13 cars that were driving eastbound. The lowest speed was 23 miles per hour and the highest speed was 35 miles per hour. This was done by radar, that's certified that we use, just in case it wasn't just observation by the officers. 8 cars were driving westbound, with the lowest speed being 21 miles and the highest speed being 33 miles per hour. On Rogers Avenue, same, 2 different units and 2 different sites. 5 cars driving westbound, the lowest speed at 27 miles per hour and the highest speed at 34 miles per hour. 3 cars going eastbound at 18 and the highest speed 21. We didn't see no speed violations that were going on. But going up and looking at the situation myself, I know there's a request for road speed signs being
A request for what?
for the speed signs on
Signs,
Richmond.
okay.
And I think we should go ahead and put them up there. It's not gonna hurt anything. I think our biggest problems are people that are coming in that are not familiar with the area or the road, that are going either to visit or to pick up, or whatever it might be. They're going in there, they're the ones that we're gonna catch. I think, with the exception, most of the people that live up there are doing speed limit. But it probably wouldn't hurt to put the signs up, and I know that was the request from the petition there, I think it was addressing the speed sign. So it probably wouldn't hurt. I think it's on, and I could be wrong, I'm sorry, but on Rogers or Richmond, there's a crest of a hill, so things kind of look a little bit differently when you're sitting there and you're hearing a car coming and you're looking up. It looks like it might be coming a little bit quicker. Technically, it really isn't.
Okay, so what you're recommending then is
I recommend
putting signs
we
out.
put the signs up. And we've done the study, they're below it, but what's it cost? I don't think the cost is gonna be outweigh the benefit of what's gonna be there. And it will help us with the enforcement of it, because now we've got a sign to refer to.
Okay, okay.
And I would suggest that the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. Because it is in a residential neighborhood there, and it's not, there's no reason for anyone really to be doing 35 miles or more there, so.
Okay.
You give them 35, they'll do 40. You give them 30, they'll do 35.
Well, this petition, I just counted up the number of residents that signed it, and there were 8. So I think that's a significant number of any neighborhood, so I think that, you know, if people are concerned, you know, we need to take that seriously. Do we have the signs, Neil?
I think so.
Okay, so we'll start with that. I would also ask though, can we
We're
periodically,
gonna continue with it.
because.
And we're gonna make our appearances there for a while longer. We're probably not gonna be issuing, we'll probably be warning.
Initially.
Get the word out. And then, as the summer drags on, we'll start
Right.
issuing if we have to.
Okay.
And I think by just warning is, unless we pull somebody over that wants to argue with us about it, then we'll do it.
Okay, so we'll start with the signs, we'll do some more studies in terms of the speed. And hopefully we can then check with the residents and see if there's been any change, any noticeable change. Okay,
As long as we're on road stuff. Neil, along Route 22, who contacts the state to let them know that there's issues on there? Because
usually he does.
when
As far as
we've been walking, there's little stubs left from signs that got knocked over. Some of them are kind of sharp. And, I saw one of them was painted with orange fluorescent paint to make it aware that people could see it, but that's not really a solution.
Usually what I do is I call North Petersburg, they call their main sign place, but I usually put a traffic cone and paint them orange because my cones like to take a walk too.
Yeah, right.
Other things.
We don't have anything, we could just quickly just cut them off at ground level, or that's, since it's not our responsibility, we don't wanna take a liability to do that, or?
Well,
It's state road, right,
You know,
yeah,
it's really their responsibility.
right.
So.
We make notification to them.
I think the one that was painted orange, you reported back in October, November.
It's near the library.
Yeah, the one
By-
over near the
The
library.
one by Elm Street's been reported 2 or 3 times, the one over by Hart
Sure.
Plain's been reported.
Well, the other thing I think we could also do,
Occupant house, the one in front of the occupant house.
Not anymore.
Huh?
That disappeared.
It did? Good. I
if,
tripped over that.
Neil, if you could take pictures, with your camera and the digital pictures of those, we could send those into DOT. We had some pretty good luck around the crosswalks. And I think if we sprayed them orange, I'm assuming we've probably done that just to have it stick out.
Just
And we
spill a
could
little
take some-
blood next to them and.
No, let's not go that far. But if we can get some photos, we can forward those on to DOT, and let's see if we can get a response from them. Because that is dangerous, somebody can get hurt. Somebody's gonna get hurt, if they haven't already. Okay? All right. Next item that we have is, a few weeks back, couple of meetings back, we talked about the highway garage in terms of looking at that, what needs to be done. There has not been any substantial work done on the highway garage in a good number of years. And what we did was, I confirmed with the village attorney, we were able to look at professional services, and we've asked Bill Cottrell to take a look at it and to do an overall study of what needs to be done with the highway garage. Basically, does it need to be torn down and start over again, or can it be rehabbed? We need to know exactly what the situation is before we go forward, whether, and the town would need to know that too, if we're still gonna look at any kind of space to be utilized by both of us. So, Bill did submit a proposal. His proposal was between $2,000 and $4,000. We had unofficially agreed to that, so I wanna formalize that at tonight's board meeting, and I would ask for a motion of approval.
Motion.
Bob, thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Rick, thank you. Further discussion?
Is there a reason why there's a estimated amount between $2,000 and $4,000? Maybe I missed that part.
Yeah, cause he doesn't know what it could go as high as $4,000
Okay.
to do it,
Okay,
depending on what he finds. and-
gotcha.
But he didn't think it would, but I think that's
Okay.
just not to exceed.
Thank you.
Further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's carried. This next item we're gonna table, since the village attorney is not here, he's out sick, today, and that was, formalizing agreement with, youth football, in a similar kind of an agreement that we have with the, Town of Hoosick Little League, 10-year agreement. So John is working on that, so we'll get that taken care of. Hopefully we'll talk about that at the
How
next
about the
meeting.
vacation policy that we missed up here? Is that tabled, or what are we doing?
Well, Ben didn't offer anything, so.
Okay.
we can go,
I can talk about it briefly, cause I'm not ready to get into the whole thing, tonight, cause
that's
Bobby's
good
not
enough too.
here.
That's fine.
So-
We'll just table it until
Okay.
next meeting.
Sorry, I should have mentioned that during my report.
That's okay.
I apologize.
Good catch, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, water update and the water filters. I'll start with the filters. You'll recall at our last board meeting, we were given the opportunity to purchase replacement filters for our current filters that are still working. But the end of the warranty is coming up, probably another 3 years. We saved quite a bit of money by doing this. You gave me the go-ahead to negotiate, and we did. We've signed a proposal. What we have basically is 64 replacement filters that Paul Company is going to store for us until needed for up to 2 years at no charge, 2 years. They're gonna provide us up to 20 hours of technical assistance when it comes time to put them in, at no charge. The filters were $2,900 a piece. The current value, or the current rate, is around $3,600 a piece, and we have 64 of them. So we've gone ahead and done that. We do not have to put any money down until they're needed, and if we need 1 or 2, that's all we pay for up to that 2 years. So overall, I think, and plus we get a, we get a 10-year warranty, a 3-year full replacement warranty, and then a 7-year prorated once we start putting them in. So we've saved ourselves a good amount of money by doing that. So we need to formalize that, and I would ask for a motion on that. Well, actually, we've done that. No, we did that last meeting. You gave me the authority, sorry. Sorry, so that was an update. On our water, overall water update, we've completed the pilot study. We had a very large water sample sent to Pittsburgh to the Calgon Company. We've received the official notification back. They have verified that granulated activated carbon, or GAC filters, will in fact mitigate or stop the PFOA that we have found in measurable amounts in our water. Will make that negligible, so we know that works. They were also able to give us an estimated lifespan, if you will, for these carbon filters, and it was anywhere from 10 to 12 months, plus or minus 25%. But what that means is that at the end of the 12 months, the filters would have to be taken out and replaced, and that's all part of the process that you pay for. I also asked MRB to give us an estimated cost. The GAC filter system itself comes in at around $275,000 with some assembly required. The some assembly required brings the price up to just under $2.2 million. And that doesn't count the batteries. So anyway, it's a pricey item. We are now in the process of looking for funding sources through the state. There is money available, both state and federally. I have contacted all of our elected officials from town, county, state, and federal, asking for their support. I've also been in touch with the State Health Department. They were here last week taking additional samples. They are also taking samples from private wells so that they can see just how far widespread this is or is not. They're going to continue to also take samples for us at no charge. To date, we've spent close to $20,000 just in sampling fees. We may still have to pay for some sampling because of certain certifications and things like that, but the state's going to be able to verify all of that for us. So that's going to be a significant savings as well. So we'll be moving forward on that. So we have the report. It's here. We've made that available to the public. You don't need to foil it. You just need to come in and ask to see it. You can have a copy of that. Again, I would ask if the press would please put this in, that we're asking for any private individuals who may have had sampling done on their own, if they would bring those results in to us so that they can be included in the overall spreadsheet and the mapping, if you will, that the county and state health departments are doing, so we can get a better picture of just what we have. So we're gonna continue to move forward. We know what works, we know that the technology is there to work. And we're gonna continue to go forward on that, and we're going to find the funding and get that done.
So
So that's where we stand.
So the filters would cost $275,000 a year for the
No,
filters
no,
alone?
no. This is to buy the
Just
package.
The system.
The system.
Yeah.
What we would end up with is two filtering systems, our current system, okay, and then the GAC system on top of that.
I was just wondering how much the filters were alone for the carbon filtering for each year.
They come in these huge containers, and there are two of them. That's a $275,000 package. And you don't buy it piecemeal. But what you do get is you get the whole system. This price, including everything, will also include the charges in and out. Now, there'll be annual maintenance and such that we'll have to look at as well.
I think that's what your question is, what the annual maintenance is gonna be, because they
We
will have
don't
to be
know.
recharged after 10 months to a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We just don't know yet. Most likely, they will not all have to be done at the same time, so it'll vary. But that technology is there and it's usable, and other places are using it. So that's the good news. Okay, zoning update. As I mentioned, we received a grant through Hudson River Greenway to assist in the next phase of our zoning updates. The first phase is being worked on by B&L. They expect to have that completed very shortly. That is then going to be put online so that we're utilizing a service so that that will be available to all of the public. We are then going to move into the next phase, which will help us develop a master plan or a comprehensive plan for the community so that we can use that as we move forward in the future. Also be looking at the existing zoning areas within the village, what changes can be made, what should be made, what can't be made. There'll be public hearings on all of that. So it's a very involved process, but I think, we're making very good progress in getting this done. Excuse me. Hoosick Rising update. We had our Hoosick Rising meeting at Brown's last week, and I'm losing it. Thank you, I just may do that. Ugh. Oh, this isn't water yet. But it's very good.
How do you think she gets through the meetings?
Thank you. We had a meeting at Brown's. We had a terrific turnout. We had over 45 people. And when we asked who was here for the first time, there were close to a dozen hands that shot up. So that's really very good. We have banners made up. You're going to see them on some of the different buildings around town regarding Hoosick Rising. We are going to focus on 3 areas over the summer. One is broadband. Okay, bringing broadband and improving it to the areas outside of the village. Broadband means business, it means people, it means information. Whether you like it or not, it's the wave of the future and it's the wave of now, so we need to have that. So we're going to concentrate on that. We are also going to be concentrating on abandoned or zombie properties. A piece of that, building inspectors already addressed. We've hired a prosecutor to help us with code violations. I've spoken with Senator Marchione and Assemblyman McLaughlin regarding funds that may be available. The state has $25 million in the budget this year for communities to use for abandoned properties, so I've given them some proposals as to how we could use that money and what could be done. So we're gonna really take a hard look at that and move forward on that, because that has such a negative impact on everybody. So we wanna continue to do that. We're also having some success with some of the local, not local, but some of the banks that own these properties. Building inspector's been quite successful in a couple of different situations, so we're gonna continue to pursue that. The third area that we wanna concentrate on is looking at a property reevaluation. Now, that's one of those real popular things. It's like stomach cramps, you know, everybody can hardly wait for that to happen. But properties have not been reevaluated in the village in 50 years. That's 50. And in the town, I believe around 30 years, maybe a little better than 30 years. So what we have is a situation like this. So we're talking about industry and private homes and everything, and they're coming in and looking at a tax system that's really kind of squirrely, and it's not to our benefit. So we want to take a look at that and see what's involved in that. We're just learning. We've requested some information from the city of Troy. They recently went through a reassessment. We've been told there are other communities that have done that. It will not be a quick process. The community needs to be involved. People need to buy into it. There's a significant educating process that needs to go on. People need to see what the numbers look like and what it's going to mean for you and for me. So those were the three areas that we wanted to concentrate on. We're also, between the town and the village, we have met with Camoin Associates, and we're talking to them about possible funding opportunities for us to hire a full-time economic development person for the greater Hoosick region. We could use somebody to do that. I think remarkable progress has been made in the last couple of years, but we need somebody who can really focus on that, someone with experience and knows the lingo. Now that we've been told there are grants that are available for that, to pay for the salary of someone to do that. So we're in the beginning stages of talking about doing that. I think that also makes a statement to the community at large that we're serious. We're serious about not only is this a great place to live, but it's a great place to work, and we need both to happen. So that's where we are there. The next item, I just want to make a correction. The chief has stepped out, but at our last meeting, we talked about some changes that were going on within the police department. Some people left. As you know, some people have come in. There was a report that Mickey, our police dog, was no longer in service, and that is not accurate. Mickey is in service. He's back. He's going to continue his training. You will see him out and about at public functions. You'll also see him on the job. So he's helped out in a number of arrests. He's trained to track drugs, and he will continue to hone his skills. So that's going to continue to be something that we utilize. At last month's meeting, we had a resident ask about when there are service breakdowns, for example, if there's a water break in a particular area where the water needs to be boiled, or if you're going to be out of water for the next 2 or 3 hours or the next day, that somehow we get notice out to the public. We've said that we put that information on the TV channel, we put it on the website, on the Facebook page, all of that kind of stuff. But this particular resident asked that if the police department could also drive around to particular neighborhoods that have been affected by whatever the service disruption may be, and make an announcement. And I've spoken to the chief. We've set up a policy here where department heads, if something occurs, they're gonna notify the office. If it's during normal hours, the office will then notify the officers who are on duty, and they will then make that announcement, and they'll go to that neighborhood. If it's during off hours, the department heads will again notify the office staff so that they're aware of it when they come back to work, but they will then notify dispatch in Troy, indicating it's not an emergency as such, but for dispatch to notify our police officers. So we will get that started, okay? And I think that's just another way to keep people aware of what's happening in their neighborhoods. Okay, new business. Monolith Solar requested extension requests for 3 particular sites, a sewer plant, a pump station, and for our streetlights, and the streetlights will come under what's happening up at the landfill, at the transfer station, I should say, sorry. And so we needed to sign those extensions. This is something that they send into NYSERDA, and it just extends the period. So I've done that, but we need to formally take care of that. So I would ask for a motion for approval for me to sign for those extensions.
Make that motion.
Second.
Kevin?
Second.
Bob, second. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. Next item is the motion for county waste, and we've already addressed that, so thank you for that. Next one is a motion, we have some adjustments to make to the water fund and the sewer fund in the amount of $91.54 on one and $95.35 on another. Are there any other details that we need on these two?
It's just for one account, 118860, but, they were charged water and
Yeah, the
did
sewer?
not have it, yeah,
Okay, so that's a correction that we made.
yeah. It would be a minus to the, water and sewer account.
Okay, and we'll catch up with that. All right. Is there a
Balance.
motion for those two
Motion.
adjustments? Ben? Second?
Second.
Oh, Rick, thank you for the second. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion's carried. We have another adjustment here for the water fund. This was for a repair cost over the winter. And this is in the amount of $1,200. And what we had there was a resident had some repair work done. It was, private contractor had to come in, and it was not clear, as clear as it could have been in terms of whose responsibility that private contractor was. So we've negotiated an amicable agreement on that. I have also asked that both the water, that initially the water department, that we now provide people when these kinds of breaks or repairs occur that have a direct impact on your water line, we give them a copy of the law so that it's very clear up front who's responsible for what. So hopefully that will avoid that in the future. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Rick, is there a second?
Second.
Bob, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. We are to have a bid opening regarding a request for bids to demolish the old water plant. And we received exactly 0 responses to that. So I need, we'll talk with John, we'll see what the next step would be. Basically, what we would like to do is tear that down before it falls down and somebody gets hurt. We'd like to have that area leveled off, because in the future, and there could be grants for this, in the future, that would make an ideal site for a pavilion of some sort for the Greenway Trail. So we have 0 bids now, we'll pursue that and see what we need to do next. So I'll bring you up to date on that. Okay. This is involving bond counsel and the funding. You will recall we've had a couple of meetings, and a couple of them were special meetings, where MRB came in and our bond counsel came in. And this is for the upcoming sewer improvement work that we're going to be doing. And what we have learned is that $7,500 of engineering fees that were done by MRB can be included in the overall grant that we have been approved to. It's not a grant, in the overall funds that we have been approved to receive through EFC, and that's interest-free, by the way. So we want to roll this $7,500 into that pot. So we need a motion for that.
Motion?
Ben, second?
Second.
Second, Rick, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's carried. We have an appointment that the highway superintendent is recommending, and that is that Bruce Rawlings be appointed as the assistant highway superintendent. Neil, would you just give a brief description of what those duties include?
Pretty much taking over doing my duties as I'm gone on vacation or on sick leave.
Okay. And you would like to make that appointment effective
June
June 1st. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Bob, is there a second?
Second.
Karen, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Congratulations, Bruce. Okay. This next one, motion includes, you'll recall that with the passing of Dick Whalen, who was also our village assessor, we then moved the assessor responsibilities over to the town assessor, Tony Rice, for a 6-month period. That 6-month period will expire at the end of July. We're not ready to move forward yet. We're starting to look at what needs to be done. So I'm requesting that we extend Tony for another 6 months in this role. He's covering both roles. He's here on a regular basis. He stops in the mornings here. to cover what we need to do, and the staff talk to him on a regular basis. So this would be to extend the original ending date for the appointment of Tony Rice for an additional 6 months, which would take us up through the end of December. And by then, we should clearly know which way we wanna go. Is there a motion?
Motion?
Ben, thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Second, Kevin, thank you. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That is carried. This is the motion that Ann was referring to earlier. This is to collect the 2015 property taxes, a warrant dated June 1, 2015, in the amount of $1,006,910, and re-levied utilities and related services in the amount of $444,796.36. This is part of our tax re-levy. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Bob. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion is carried. Is there any other business to bring before the board? There being none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Is there
Ed's
a
always the
second?
quickest on that one.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Rick, all those in favor?
Aye.
Just a reminder that we have a special meeting coming up on June 23rd, and that's where we'll be talking about grants and such.